For those of you who are new to the DrFlux channel, might not realize it, but I'm actually kind of new to the Nerf hobby. I've only been doing this for about 2 years. So in today's video, I want to talk about an issue that I ran into when I first started into the hobby. But before we do that, we need to have a little history lesson. Now there is a line of blasters from Hasbro known as N-Strike. These have been out for a long time. And N-Strike was very revolutionary in the time because basically it offered these little kind of connections and stock attachment points and barrels and optics and flashlights and all the kind of cool stuff that make a blaster super neat. They offered it in a line that could be cross-compatible with each other. So, you know, you could buy like this blaster, and that one, intermix all the parts and build different blasters. It's very cool. It was a concept that really, in my opinion, made Nerf like really take off. So after the N-Strike line, you have the Elite line, which really pushed more into this. And obviously we have to talk about Modulus. Modulus was, you know, very modular systems, and the blasters that you'd buy would just come with tons of parts. Kind of feels like Legos a little bit, or some type of building system to where you can, the more you collect, the more options and possibilities you can come up with. Very amazing stuff. Now let's fast forward to, you know, today, 2022. So what do we have now when you go to the stores? Can you buy, you know, stuff with a bunch of, you know, N-Strike attachment points? Yes, you can get some stuff, mainly through the Nerf Elite 2.0 line. Now this line, you know, for the most part has quite a bit of attachments. And what I've noticed though is there's another line known as, you know, Fortnite. Now it's worth mentioning that outside of Nerf Elite 2.0, when you look at, you know, Fortnite or Roblox or some of the other lines that they're offering, they don't really have good N-Strike attachment stuff. You'll see it occasionally on a Fortnite blaster, but the problem I have with it is when you look at the attachment points, they are kind of fine-tuned to that particular blaster, and they look very out of place and weird when you take them off and put them on other blasters. So here is the problem today. If you're getting into the hobby and you want to get a bunch of N-Strike attachment points, you only got a few options. Number one, go to your local, you know, thrift store, try to find those, you know, do that little hunt where you're looking for those attachment points. You end up buying a bunch of extra blasters that maybe you don't want, because some places will only sell the attachments if you put them on things. Sometimes they price them out separately. It's fun. I mean, and that in itself can be, you know, it's kind of like a treasure hunt. The other way is to go buy bulk lots and go on eBay, or, you know, just try to find old inventory of Nerf Elite or Modulus lines and try to acquire them that way. And then the last way, which is very expensive, is to go and buy the current, you know, just buy the whole Nerf Elite 2.0 line. You'll get quite a few attachments. However, those attachments are really just going to be aesthetically pleasing and the way they look for other Elite 2.0 blasters. So they start to look weird when you start putting them on the older stuff. So keep that in mind. Fortunately, there's a company known as TASKQWIK. And what this company has done is gone back, grabbed the old designs, stuff like this, you know, this right here, I believe was from the long shot, or I don't know, one of the old Elite style blasters that, you know, you can't really get this scope anymore. But this company, you know, now you can go purchase it from them. They have, you know, all kinds of attachments, barrel attachments, magazines, you know, stocks. This magazine in particular, I think is actually from a worker mag. I don't think Nerf made a banana clip like that. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at some product that was sent in. This kind of this modular N-Strike system created by a third-party company. So we're going to take a look at all these attachments and also look at the core blaster. This thing actually really surprised me. So stick around so you can see the performance outside. I was not expecting what this thing did. So here we have some of the boxes that were sent in. Very, very cool packaging. I actually don't want to destroy these or throw them away. The packaging's really nice. They have this system where you got your core blaster, so that came in the orange box. And then all the blue boxes, or this aqua color, light green, these all were different types of, like, you know, kind of like little booster packs where, you know, I think, you know, a couple of these had like a sight, a stock, you know, a forward grip, maybe a couple darts or some darts, a little drop pouch, you know. So depending on what you need, you can buy these individual boxes, or you can get just the base core box and have everything you need to get started. I believe in this box, you came with a blaster, some darts, drop pouch. I think it came with a stock attachment. So really cool to get started. I think it's a very clever system, especially with, you know, a world in which Hasbro stopped making some of the coolest designs that they've ever come up with. It really pains me to not see that stuff being re-released. You know, we get a lot of these reskins or re-releases of blasters that are not too interesting to me, but it would be amazing to get something like the Nerf Modulus Mediator, or, you know, some of these other blasters that were just really iconic for the time. Let's go ahead and talk about the performance. Let's go outside, get some chronograph readings, and then check the range and accuracy at 30 feet. So let's go ahead and step on outside. All right, so here we are outside. We're gonna get some chronograph readings. We got two darts here. We got this classic elite suction dart, and then we have these darts. Basically, these are the Dart Zone or the Adventure Force type style of dart, which are actually really good darts. So let's see how the chronograph numbers are. So we got 88, 101, that's pretty crazy, 95, 102, 92, 98, 90, 96. I'll go ahead and post the average. Let's go ahead and check out these long darts. 99, 87, 86, 93, 86, and 94. And here are those averages. So really good performance right out of the box. This is off of 6AA. Let's go ahead and take us over to the range and get some shots at 50 feet. So after taking these outside, we have a good baseline to talk about here. Now, first off, I was very impressed with the performance of this thing. And I didn't really realize it was a full auto blaster, which makes it kind of cool. I really want to get inside of this thing and see what kind of system they have going on. Is it like a rapid strike pusher, or, you know, kind of looks like one. Also, I was very happy to see this thing take 6 AA batteries. So that's a nice amount of power. I don't really like seeing the flywheelers that only take like 4. I just feel like 6 is kind of standard. So first area to talk about is build quality. What is the build quality? Because some of you have actually purchased some, you know, clone blasters and stuff off Amazon in the past, and many of you will recall that the quality of those are not to the standard of Nerf. Now, as far as this stuff, I would say it's better than some of those clone blasters. It's still not at the level of like a Nerf plastic, but I will say it is very rigid for considering what it is, and I think the build quality is pretty nice. The only issue I had was on this larger magazine. I was able to kind of pop out these clips pretty easily. I pushed it all back together and it's fine. Since we're talking about quality, let's also talk about the darts. We have 2 types of darts that showed up. One is the sticky dart, which, you know, the suction cup dart, and we're very familiar with this one. You see these in a lot of the third-party, you know, clone type blasters, and typically they're kind of okay or mediocre performance. I'm very happy to say that none of the original elite, you know, hard tip darts showed up with this, which I'm just so tired of seeing those things. So that was very fortunate. Instead, they take the Dart Zone Adventure Force type dart, the long version, and that's what they're using here. Absolutely love that dart, by the way. It seemed to be very accurate, very a very good high performance long dart. And the next thing to talk about is Ergo and aesthetics. Now the actual core blaster, let's go ahead and pull some of these attachments off so we can get an idea of the core blaster. Now this blaster right here is very reminiscent or definitely inspired by, you know, something like a Strife or something from the Modulus line. However, it is full auto. So this design I really appreciate. I think this is very cool that they've kind of redesigned stuff and made it different enough. Now, as far as how it feels, I think this forward pistol grip area, or this place where you hold your hand, is very nice. Keep in mind, that's the battery tray. And then back here, we got your standard, you know, kind of in-strike era pistol grip, and it is very comfortable. It's got a nice little lip, a dovetail kind of thing on the side here, which helps with, you know, larger hands. I think it is very adequate. Now, starting from the front of the blaster, obviously we got the in-strike barrel lug. We have this little sight that folds up. We have two of the in-strike attachment rails here. Got your jam door, got your back in-strike attachment for your in-strike attachment stock. Under here, we have a little bitty amount of in-strike attachment rail. This is good for putting your little bipod on or your forward grip. As far as sling points, we have one here in the pistol grip, and that is about it. Overall, this blaster looks very nice. I think it has a good sci-fi look. It has a very safe, you know, blaster look. Speaking of safety, I do not like the fact that a lot of the barrels and whatnot, you can see here, we got these barrels here, do not have any type of bright safety colors on them, so keep that in mind. I'm gonna quickly run down some pros and cons. Now, we'll start with the pros. I like the fact that we can now, in this day and age, go and buy some of the old in-strike attachments. For the most part, build quality is good. I'm not gonna say it's the best quality I've gotten my hands on, but it is definitely playable, usable, and I think it will treat you well. Is it a complete replacement for the original stuff? If you can get the original in-strike attachments, I'd say go that route. But if you're just having a hard time getting a hold of it due to where you live, or maybe your thrift stores just don't have too much of this stuff, then this is definitely a good option for you. The performance of the base blaster is phenomenal, really blew me away. I didn't expect to see such a high, consistent, you know, high FPS fire rate. Accuracy was very good. I'm happy to see that, you know, they're using good darts in here. They got rid of the elite standard, you know, elite size regular Nerf dart with the rounded head. I just can't stand those things. So big plus in that regard. And the last pro for this blaster in particular is definitely the fire rate. I think it's got a pretty solid fire rate. Could be a little faster, but I think it's pretty solid. Now let's take a moment to talk about some of the stuff I don't like about this. Number one is, you know, obviously this is a company that's kind of cloning and taking other companies' IP, and that can be kind of hard for me to get behind, especially with products like this. You know, this magazine right here, this is pretty much a worker magazine. They still sell these, like Worker still, you know, sells a lot of these probably. And to see it just cloned and put into a package here, that's kind of, I don't know. It's just a little bit frowned upon. And the last thing that kind of bothers me is just all the barrels and their lack of, you know, bright colored tips. And some parts of the world, this is kind of a big deal. You need to make sure that your stuff looks safe. I know this stuff is like, you know, there's no actual firearm that looks like that, but still having a dark front end like this is not ideal. You know, especially when you have something like this where you actually have a separate plastic color shell here that could just be quickly swapped out for orange, or even just any bright color at this point, but definitely orange would be a good one. Essentially, safety is paramount in the Nerf hobby, you know, especially for people who like to go to, you know, public events such as parks and whatnot. It's really good to keep your blasters bright, colored safely, and not looking like real firearms. Other than those couple things, this company really has a cool thing going for it. You know, I like to see all these different components. It's really cool to be able to get them all. So if you're one of those kinds of people that do not like to thrift or go out there and hunt for, you know, parts or pieces and, you know, put it all together to complete a collection, maybe this is a good option for you. You know, just go and grab these sets and have, you know, pretty much everything you need to get started. It's also nice for if you're doing some type of integrations and you need some of these components to paint up and, you know, maybe even cut or integrate into other stuff. I think these are really good options for that too. Well, I'm DrFlux. I want to thank you for watching today's video. If you haven't done so already, please leave a like on the video. It helps tremendously. And also, if you like this video, check out this one. Has some great stuff in there. As always, thank you, be safe, and happy foam flinging.